フルカウンター
Boys, the ReZero event is officially coming back to Grand Cross in 2 weeks time, and with that comes along 2 new characters, Echidna and also Reinhardt. To be fair, very shocked to see Echidna in the game. I thought we'd got someone like Felix, which you can see right now. It's not really clear, but we are ripping some merch for him. But a little bit of a shame that's not him or also Subaru. It's kind of shocking that we aren't getting Subaru, not gonna lie, because I think he would work very well in Grand Cross. But hey, Echidna will take it. Honestly, I didn't think they'll do at all because literally she's done absolutely nothing in this series other than just drink some tea. That is apparently her piss. But in a few days time, I will make a video going over how she'll play in Grand Cross. So if you guys want to see that video, then do subscribe. We will be uploading in a few days time. But today, I want to go through my opinions and go over, will the ReZero characters receive a buff? We did see with the last collaboration that the actual slime collaboration did receive some buffs. And to be fair, they actually needed it. However, this time around, will they receive buffs? I think the good chance is probably no, because I don't think, for example, right now, Emilia, it does not need a buff at all. Her getting a relic, which I'll go through later on as well, and also getting the final costume, her actual 5th weapon, and actual 5th headpiece, is enough buff to make her already top tier. I mean, she kind of still is used a lot, but not too much now. But because Beatrice is so bad, I think they do need to buff her. And if they're going to do that, then they might as well change a few things about the other characters. So let's just jump in. So we'll go for Beatrice last. Like I did say, Emilia does not need any buffs at all. She's going to get a buff with the relic. And then towards Rem, I don't think needs that many buffs. I think Rem's kind of in a fine situation right now because she kind of is a DPS character. And granted, this skill is unique to her. I believe it's not fully unique, actually. I think it's Shin has it. But Shin doesn't have the block ultimate effect, so technically speaking, I guess they could change the skill without changing any other character in game. But I think Rem is in a perfect position. I think, like I did say, she as a DPS character without a relic, and also the fact that she doesn't have her actual final, or was it cosmetics and weapons as well. She is gonna get a lot of love here. And something that, you know what, if you haven't gotten Trade Temelli, having her for the bird might be quite good with Magelda. I know I used to use her before we got Trade Temelli, so she actually could be really good for the bird. But my only problems with Rem is she's a bit too squishy. Her stats, once again, are not the best. I think the resistance is a little bit too low here. But I think literally her simply getting a relic that, you know, will increase her damage somehow. Hopefully give her more buffs because, once again, she's actually a really fun character to use with Amplify. And we do get a Holy Relic that does increase her buff somehow. Or even some sort of all-stat buff that could be a buff that applies towards the Amplify skill. Then she is going to be eaten. Now, let's go towards Rem. So Rem, I do have some problems with. So, one, her skill here is terrible. Personally, I'd love for them to absolutely just change the skill because it's so useless, but I doubt they're going to do that. But if they do, then hey, that'd be really good here. Her ultimate, granted, it's whatever. I mean, being realistic here, you typically come in and then you're lucky if you get the skill off. If you do get it off, then to be fair, it's not going to kill anyone because it's very late into the game and you probably lost the game already. But the passive, so Ram's whole kit and whole personality is based around this passive. So I think it does need an increase. Simply increasing it to 25%, I think would be the best outcome here because I think we've kind of come far. I mean, granted, it does work in the sub slot, and to be fair, a lot of subs or passives are actually a lot lower than they actually were if they were in the front line. So Margot, for example, I believe it's 40% got its basic stats here, which like I said, it's a lot more compared to obviously Ram. But then again, you could argue she's in the front line, but being realistic here, it's not that hard to get off. Esterosa, his agile passive, granted you do have to apply the Dogs effect onto them, but you can get up to 50% base stats, and you compare that with obviously Zeldris, who go to the sub slot. Granted, once again, you do have to have debuffs on them, but that does go up to 24%. And we're seeing even right now with someone like Metrona, for example, but we're seeing right now with obviously Metrona that we have got a 25% base stats for Giant. So this is what I mean. I think simply increasing by 5% will make the character a lot more usable, because I think she's kind of getting a bit outdated. And even right now, even if she gets a relic that, to be fair, could be quite good. I mean, if they really want to, they could. Her relic could simply just be increased the base stats of unknown characters by even more. Because granted, this character doesn't work in PvP, but all stats by or base stats by 25%. So technically speaking, she increases it by 50% only in PvE though. So it'd be quite funny to see them do that if they decide that to give that to Ram. But if they don't increase it by 25%, then I'm a little bit worried that no one's really going to use her. Because at that point, depending on what the relic could be, of course, we might just end up using Zeldris. Because Zeldris is 24%, which is better. And obviously, he typically has more CC than Ram as well. So, like I did say, man, I hope they do increase it by 25%. So it's a little bit higher than obviously Zeldris. And it gives you some options. And you possibly might use Ram over someone like Zeldris. And like I did say, if they do decide to give her relic, they got to make it so it works in the sub slot. Because if they decide to make this an actual frontline unit, it's going to be really, really bad. And I'm kind of scared because they kind of did this with Athena. Athena's actual passive, I mean, it works in the front line, but it's can be meant to be used in the sub slot, of course, right? So when you kill someone, you get 2 orbs deleted off the actual ultimate gauge. But then they decided to give her a relic, which to be fair is not bad. It's just, it's not what she needed, and it only works in the front line, of course, and it only works towards herself. So, like I just say, I hope if they decide to do this, they don't give her a relic that works in the front line, because they kind of killed off Athena. I mean, Athena's still kind of used a little bit now, especially with obviously the Adventure Liz being somewhat more relevant now. But how much better would it have been if she had a passive that works in the sub slot? Now, to buff Beatrice is quite complicated because the problem they done with her is they decided to give her 2 attack skills that actually aren't really attack skills. So remember what Beatrice wants to do. She wants to deal damage to heal her team. But the problem is she don't have any damage dealing cards other than these 2 right here, which are not great. So unfortunately, this cannot be changed. She's stuck with these cards. So in order to fix that, make the recovery a lot more higher. So as it is right now, when she deals damage, she recovers 60% of the damage that she deals towards the characters. But because she's not dealing a lot of damage, because the damage skills aren't actually damage skills, they're just kind of mediocre, they kind of have to increase the 60% up to something like 80%, because like I did say, it's not good enough. And I guess if they really want to as well, make the hate relay stats, because she's still kind of squishy, make it 10%, because at that point it'll be 30% hate relay stats, which might be a bit too high. And it also applies towards the battle. So if you have gotten a Rimuru, for example, or something like that, then or more unknowns on the other team, that could go up to 60% hate relay stats. That'll make the character really good. Now the problem is, well, she's a healer, and we have 2 green characters in the game, that being Loli Merlin and also Rimuru, that literally stop off healing. So I think what you need to do for her actual relic is make it something along the lines of like she cleanses debuffs at the start of turn, or when she uses skill, because the infect is literally going to ruin this character. And the fact that she is type disadvantaged towards Rimuru, even if she gets the best buff in the game, she's going to be unusable, because you just literally bring 1 Rimuru, and especially now with Zeldris with infect as well. And possibly in the future, more actual teams, maybe the goddesses, maybe the human teams, start to get infected. They need to definitely buff it. So the best way to fix her, honestly, is to make her, give her team debuff immunity, or make it so she's immune, that the whole team's immune. What it's called? It's called recovery restricted abilities. So stop that so you can't be affected, because like I did say, this character does need a buff here. And I'm a little bit scared, like I did say, they decided to give her a relic that doesn't really help her, and they don't acknowledge the fact that infects is skin in the game right now. And then at that point, well, no one's going to use her. So yeah, boys, that is my prediction. So do they need buffs? Yes and no. Rem and also Emilia do not really need buffs. However, I think Ram could receive a little buff towards the passive. So there's a reason to use her over someone like Zeldris. And obviously, like I did say, Beatrice needs a lot of love towards her stats here. And honestly, like I did say, considering Seve is a skill that, or not Seve, but it's called Despair, but maybe just throw on Seve onto the skill so she can crit, because her crit charges are terrible, even against characters that don't have high crit resistance. But when you're trying to go up against Festals, which to be fair are basically using every single game right now, you are not really going to crit. So she needs a lot of attack related stats. That's the best way to do it for her. But yeah, boys, let me know. Are you excited for Echidna and Reinhard? Are you giving someone for the new ReZero characters and also trying to get the old ones? Thankfully, I had wailed out on the actual old banners, so I already have Emilia, Rem, and Emilia 66. So if I do get dupes for those, I can easily trade them for Echidna. So hopefully I don't have to go too hard. I currently, by the time it comes to global, I'll have around 3 rotations, and I don't, probably a good thing, but I don't really care too much about Reinhard. So if I get him 1-6, I'll be kind of fine with that. I kind of only want to get Echidna 6-6, who hopefully should be the main character, because she is more of a bigger presence in the actual series than Reinhard. But we'll see what happens in season 3. So yeah, boys, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think they can give relics for these characters, and also if they do decide to buff the characters, what would you do for them? And also, I guess I should say right now, we did pull Tamio. I did, what, 5 multis on the soldiers banner, and I only got 1 SSR, and it was him. So we came out with a massive dub. So yeah, boys, thank you for watching, and yeah, peace.